The alien queen summoned me. And what she said left me speechless. It was an ordinary night in a small town where life moved slowly, and most people preferred quiet over excitement. The streets were empty, and the sky was clear, dotted with countless stars that twinkled like tiny diamonds scattered across a deep, dark canvas. The air was cool, carrying the faint scent of pine from the nearby forest. For most people, it was just another peaceful evening. But for Alex, a young scientist with an insatiable curiosity, the night held a sense of anticipation, though he could not explain why. Alex had always been different from his friends. While they enjoyed parties or playing video games, he spent his evenings staring at the stars through his old telescope. He loved studying patterns in the sky, learning about planets, and imagining what lay beyond Earth. That night, as he adjusted the lens of his telescope, he noticed something unusual, a small, flickering light moving in a pattern unlike any airplane or satellite he had ever seen. At first, he thought it was a drone, maybe some hobbyist testing a new toy. But the light did not move like any drone he had seen before. It glowed with an almost alive quality, pulsating gently, as if it had a rhythm of its own. Curiosity sparked. Alex grabbed his notebook and began sketching the movements of the strange light. Every few seconds, it changed direction in ways that seemed impossible. It would dart sideways, stop suddenly in midair, and then slowly ascend, almost as if it was studying him as much as he was studying it. He felt a shiver run down his spine, not from fear, but from excitement. Could this be a new celestial phenomenon, or perhaps a secret military experiment? He had spent years learning to approach strange situations calmly, but this felt different, almost personal. As the minutes passed, the light grew brighter, and the pulsating rhythm became more intense. Alex rubbed his eyes, thinking he was imagining things. But when he looked again, the light had come closer, hovering just above the treetops in his backyard. His heart began to race, and a mixture of fear and wonder filled him. He took a cautious step forward, holding his notebook tightly, trying to understand what he was witnessing. Then, in the blink of an eye, the light disappeared, leaving only the ordinary night around him. Alex exhaled slowly, convincing himself that it must have been a trick of the light or his imagination running wild. He returned to his telescope, but the sky was calm again, normal in every way. He tried to continue his stargazing, but a nagging feeling remained. Something had changed, though he could not say exactly what. For the next few days, Alex could not shake the image of the flickering light. He found himself waking up in the middle of the night, scanning the sky for any sign of it. Friends and family noticed his restlessness, but when he tried to explain, they only smiled and suggested he was overworking himself. Then, things became stranger. Small, unusual events started happening around him. His digital devices, phone, laptop, even his smart watch, began receiving messages he could not explain. They were not words or numbers, but patterns of light and symbols that seemed almost intentional. At first, Alex thought it was a glitch, perhaps a virus. But then he realized the patterns resembled the movement of the mysterious light in the sky. Each symbol felt like a message meant for him alone, a code he was meant to decipher. One night, while walking through the backyard to clear his mind, Alex noticed a faint humming sound coming from the forest behind his house. It was soft at first, barely audible, like the whisper of the wind through leaves. But as he walked closer, the hum grew louder, resonating through his chest. His instincts screamed that this was no ordinary sound. The air itself seemed to vibrate, carrying a sense of purpose. He felt a strange pull, a force guiding him toward the center of the forest. Hesitant but compelled, Alex followed the sound, stepping carefully over roots and fallen branches. As he reached a small clearing, the night sky seemed to shimmer. A soft, glowing light appeared in the center, hovering just above the ground. It was not a drone, not a star, not anything he had ever seen. The glow formed into a shape, tall, elegant, and regal. Alex froze, unable to believe his eyes. The figure seemed to radiate intelligence, authority, and a kind of quiet power that demanded respect. Every instinct in him told him to run, yet he felt rooted to the spot as if invisible strings held him there. Then a voice spoke. It was not loud or frightening, but it echoed clearly in his mind, not through his ears. "Do not be afraid, Alex, I have summoned you." Alex's jaw dropped, and he felt his mind struggle to process the words. Summoned? By whom? He glanced around, but there was no one else in the clearing. The figure's glow intensified slightly, revealing features that were both alien and strangely familiar. It had eyes that seemed to see through everything, through the darkness, through Alex's thoughts, and even into the depths of his curiosity. Its presence was commanding yet calm, leaving Alex in awe. Who are you?" he stammered, his voice barely above a whisper. "I am the Queen," the figure replied, her voice resonating with wisdom and calm authority. "I have watched your world and observed you. I have called you here because there is something you must understand." Alex's heart raced. He had read about aliens, studied them in books, watched movies, but this was nothing like that. This was real, and he was standing in front of a being who seemed to exist beyond everything he had ever known. The Queen's presence was overwhelming, yet not frightening in the way one might expect. Instead, it carried a strange comfort, as though he was meant to be here at this exact moment for a reason far greater than himself. He took a hesitant step forward. "Why me? Why now?" The Queen's eyes seemed to glimmer with an understanding that transcended words. "Because you are ready," she said. "Because your mind is open, your heart curious. There are messages that must be shared and paths that must be guided. You are the one I have chosen to witness what is coming." Alex's mind whirled. Chosen? Witness? He felt a mixture of fear, disbelief, and excitement. He wanted to run, to tell someone, to make sense of what was happening, but some deep part of him knew that this was only the beginning. He had been waiting for something extraordinary, though he never realized it until now. The Queen extended a hand, or at least what Alex perceived as a hand. Light seemed to shimmer around it, and the air itself seemed to hum in response. "Come closer," she said. "Do not be afraid, I will not harm you." Swallowing his fear, Alex stepped forward. The clearing seemed to shift subtly, as if reality itself had become more fluid. The air around him felt charged, alive with energy he could neither see nor fully understand. When he reached the light, the Queen's presence enveloped him like a gentle current, filling him with a sense of calm he had never known. "You will see things that others cannot," she said. "You will hear truths that the world is not ready to accept. But your role is crucial, and your courage must not falter." Alex nodded, even though he barely understood what was being asked of him. The sense of destiny was overwhelming. He was just an ordinary person, living a normal life, yet here he was, chosen by a being from another world for a reason he could not yet comprehend. As the night deepened, the Queen began to explain the journey that awaited him. She spoke of worlds far beyond Earth, civilizations that had risen and fallen, and the importance of knowledge and understanding. Alex listened, captivated by every word, every gesture, every subtle shift in the glowing light that formed her presence. He felt as if he were standing at the edge of a door to the universe itself, a door that only he had been allowed to approach. By the time the first hint of dawn touched the horizon, Alex knew his life had changed forever. He returned to his telescope, his notebook in hand, trying to record every detail, every sensation. But he also knew that no words, no sketches, could truly capture what he had experienced. The world outside continued as usual, quiet streets, a calm sky, birds beginning to stir. But inside him, a storm of questions, awe, and anticipation raged. He had been summoned. And everything he thought he knew about life, the universe, and his place within it was about to be challenged in ways he could never have imagined. Alex could hardly believe what was happening. The memory of the Queen's words still lingered in his mind, echoing with a strange resonance that made the night feel alive. Yet, before he could fully process it, the air around him began to shimmer once again. The gentle hum of energy returned, stronger this time, vibrating through his chest and legs. It was as if the world itself was preparing him for something extraordinary. "Do not be afraid, Alex," the Queen's voice echoed again, soft yet commanding. "You are ready to cross into my world. You will see what few humans have ever witnessed. Come with me." Alex looked around. Everything seemed the same, the clearing, the trees, the distant town lights, but a sense of anticipation tingled in the air. The Queen extended her hand once more, and a circle of soft, golden light appeared beneath his feet. The moment he stepped into it, the ground seemed to dissolve beneath him, replaced by a gentle pull that lifted him off the earth. It was not frightening, but entirely surreal, like floating in a dream. His heart raced, yet a strange calmness settled over him. As the glow surrounded him completely, Alex felt himself being carried away from his familiar world. Colors shifted around him, changing in ways that his eyes struggled to comprehend. The sky stretched into unimaginable hues, and distant shapes floated in the distance, like islands in a sea of stars. The sensation was unlike flying or falling. He was moving, yet stationary, traveling through a dimension that seemed both infinite and precise. Moments later, or perhaps hours, for time seemed fluid, Alex landed gently on a surface that felt solid yet vibrant. He opened his eyes, and the sight before him left him breathless. He was standing in a place that defied earthly logic. The ground shimmered with colors that shifted like liquid, reflecting a sky that was alive with swirling patterns of light. Towering structures floated in the distance, their shapes elegant and strange, curving in ways that no human architecture could. Bridges made of translucent material connected islands suspended in midair, and luminous beings moved gracefully across them, their forms unlike anything Alex had imagined. "This is my world," the Queen said, her presence radiating beside him. "This is the place where knowledge, harmony, and understanding guide life. Here we value learning and growth above all else. And yet there is still much for you to understand, Alex." Alex could barely speak. His eyes roamed over the landscape, taking in every detail. He noticed creatures that glided through the air, leaving trails of light in their wake, and plants that seemed to hum softly, responding to the presence of living beings. Everything here seemed connected, as if the world itself was a living entity. It was beautiful, alien, and humbling all at once. "Why have you brought me here?" Alex finally managed to ask. "I don't understand. Why me? Why now?" The Queen's gaze met his, her eyes glowing with a depth that seemed infinite. "Because humans are at a turning point. Your civilization is filled with potential, yet it faces challenges it cannot yet see clearly. You have curiosity, courage, and a mind that seeks understanding. That is why you were chosen, to witness, to learn, and to carry a message that may one day guide your world." Alex took a deep breath, trying to absorb her words. It was overwhelming. He had spent his life learning about the universe, studying stars and planets, but this was something entirely different. This was not about books or experiments. This was about living, breathing knowledge, a reality that seemed to stretch beyond comprehension. The Queen guided him along a path that shimmered like liquid glass. As they moved, the world around Alex seemed to respond to their presence. The plants swayed, lights pulsed softly, and distant beings paused, observing them with quiet curiosity. "Do you see, Alex?" the Queen asked. "Everything here exists in harmony. Every action, every choice, every thought affects the balance of life. That is why knowledge and understanding are precious. That is why we must act with care." Alex nodded slowly, trying to keep pace. "It's incredible," he whispered. "I've never seen anything like this. How is this possible?" The Queen smiled faintly. "Your world is not so different. It is filled with potential, beauty, and life. Yet humans are unaware of the threads that connect all things. That is why I have brought you here. To see, to learn, and to understand. Only then can you truly grasp the importance of the path you must take back home." As they walked, the Queen began to show Alex glimpses of her civilization. They passed through great halls of learning, where beings studied energy, life, and the cosmos. Libraries stretched into the sky, filled with floating books and holographic knowledge that shifted in response to thought. Laboratories shimmered with energy, where creatures experimented with ideas and technology that balanced nature and progress. "This is our way," the Queen explained. "We do not conquer, we do not destroy, we seek to understand and to grow. And yet, even in a world as advanced as mine, challenges exist. Mistakes have been made, lessons learned through experience. That is why knowledge must be shared, and wisdom passed on to those ready to receive it." Alex felt a mixture of awe and humility. He realized that what the Queen was showing him was more than just beauty. It was a lesson in responsibility, in understanding the consequences of actions, and in the delicate balance of life. He thought of his own world, of the struggles humans faced, and a sense of urgency began to take root within him. They continued to move, and soon Alex found himself looking out over a vast city that floated above the clouds. The structures were elegant, glowing softly, and the beings moved with purpose and grace. Bridges connected islands in midair, and the sky was alive with light trails from creatures gliding effortlessly through the air. It was a world of harmony and intelligence, a civilization that seemed to exist beyond the bounds of what humans considered possible. "This is where I wish to bring you first," the Queen said. to understand what can be achieved when knowledge, respect, and balance guide life. You must see this before you can grasp the message I have for you. It is not enough to hear words, one must witness reality. Alex felt a deep sense of wonder. He had always dreamed of exploring the universe, but this was beyond anything he had imagined. He wanted to ask questions, to understand every detail, yet he knew that some things could not be explained in words alone. They had to be experienced. The Queen led him further, showing him gardens that floated in the air, where plants glowed softly and creatures tended to them with care. Streams of liquid light flowed through the landscape, nourishing life in ways Alex could hardly comprehend. He noticed how everything seemed connected, each action creating ripples that affected the environment and those living within it. "Everything here has purpose," the Queen explained. "Nothing is wasted, nothing is destroyed without reason." That is the lesson I wish you to carry with you. Your world is filled with wonder, yet humans are unaware of the delicate balance that sustains life. You must understand this, Alex, if you are to help guide your people toward a better path. Alex nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing upon him. He realized that he had been chosen not just to witness, but to learn and to carry knowledge that could change the course of his world. The Queen's presence was reassuring, yet the importance of his task filled him with a mixture of fear and determination. As the night, or what felt like night in this strange realm, continued, the Queen spoke of her civilization's history. She told Alex of mistakes made, lessons learned, and the importance of foresight. Her words were calm, yet carried a weight that Alex could feel in his chest. He began to understand that her world, though beautiful, was not perfect. It had faced challenges and crises, but it had survived because knowledge and wisdom guided its people. "You must see, Alex," she said. "The future of your world depends on understanding, not force. Knowledge, not fear. Harmony, not destruction. You are here to witness, to learn, and to carry a message that may one day guide humanity away from mistakes they cannot yet see." Alex listened intently, his mind racing with questions, yet he felt a strange sense of clarity. He realized that this experience was not just about seeing an alien world. It was about understanding responsibility, potential, and the delicate threads that connect all life. He felt honored, yet the weight of the Queen's words pressed upon him. The journey ahead was unknown, and the task he was given was far greater than anything he had faced before. The Queen paused, her gaze sweeping over him, and said, "You are ready, Alex, ready to see, ready to learn, and ready to carry what must be known. But remember, what you learn here will challenge everything you believe about your world. You must keep an open mind and an open heart." Alex nodded, feeling a mixture of excitement, fear, and awe. He had crossed into a world unlike any other, guided by a being of wisdom and power. He knew that the path ahead would be filled with revelations, challenges, and responsibilities he could not yet imagine. And yet, he felt a sense of purpose that he had never known before. For the first time in his life, Alex realized that the universe was far larger and more complex than he had ever dreamed. And that he, an ordinary human from a small town, had been chosen to witness and learn from images of floating cities, glowing gardens, and beings that moved with elegance and purpose. Yet, even amid the beauty, a sense of anticipation grew within him. The Queen had promised to reveal why he had been summoned, and that knowledge seemed closer now, though still wrapped in mystery. They arrived at a vast platform that floated high above the shimmering landscape. The surface beneath Alex's feet glowed softly, as if the platform itself were alive. He could see the alien horizon stretching endlessly, clouds of glowing colors drifting past, with islands suspended in the sky like jewels. Alex felt a mixture of awe and humility. Nothing in his life on Earth had prepared him for this. "Alex," the Queen said, her voice calm but carrying a weight that made him listen with every fiber of his being. "You have seen the beauty of my world. You have seen what can be achieved when knowledge and wisdom guide life. But beauty alone is not enough. Understanding is required, and that is why I have summoned you." Alex swallowed hard. I understand that it's important, but why me? There are billions of humans. Why choose someone like me?" The Queen's eyes glowed softly, reflecting the floating lights around them. "Because you are ready. Humans are at a crossroads. Your species is capable of great achievements, but also of great destruction. Many cannot see the consequences of their choices. Many do not seek wisdom until it is too late. You, Alex, have the curiosity, courage, and open mind to understand what others cannot yet grasp. That is why I called you here. Alex's heart raced. He had always considered himself curious, yes, but he had never thought of himself as special or capable of changing anything on a global scale. I don't know if I'm ready for something like that, he said. The Queen's gaze softened, yet it remained firm. Readiness is not measured by confidence alone. It is measured by the willingness to learn, to listen, and to act when necessary. You have these qualities. That is why you are here. You must witness what is coming, understand it, and prepare to carry knowledge that may guide your world. Alex tried to take in her words. The weight of responsibility pressed down on him like a heavy fog, yet beneath it, a spark of determination began to grow. He realized that his life on Earth, as ordinary as it had seemed, had led him to this moment. Every hour spent observing, questioning, and learning had prepared him, even if he did not know it. The Queen extended her hand, and a shimmering sphere of light appeared between them. Inside the sphere, images began to form, scenes from Earth, scenes that Alex had never seen before. Cities bustling with life, forests stretching endlessly, oceans teeming with creatures, and humans living their lives, unaware of the forces shaping their world. These are the threads of your world, Alex, the Queen said. I can show you not only what exists, but what may come if the choices of your species continue unchecked. You must understand the potential of humanity, both the light it can bring and the darkness it may create. Alex watched in silence, his mind struggling to keep up. He saw the beauty of Earth, the laughter of children, the majesty of mountains, the endless wonder of the oceans. But he also saw images of destruction, forests cut down carelessly, oceans filled with waste, and conflicts that escalated into chaos. The contrast was stark, and it left him shaken. He realized that his world, as magnificent as it was fragile. You see now why I have summoned you, the Queen said softly. Your world has great potential, but it is at risk. Your species has not yet learned to live in harmony with itself or with the environment. Many do not understand the consequences of their actions. That is why knowledge must be shared, and wisdom must be carried to those who are ready to hear it. Alex felt a lump in his throat. He had read about environmental issues, about conflicts and challenges, but seeing them like this, through the eyes of the Queen, from a perspective far beyond his own, made the consequences real, immediate, and undeniable. He realized that he could not ignore what he had seen. Something had to change, and perhaps he was meant to be a part of that change. The Queen's form shifted slightly, glowing more brightly. You may wonder why I chose to reveal these things to you rather than to governments or leaders or scientists. It is because they are often blinded by power, by fear, or by pride. True change requires those who are willing to act with understanding, with courage, and with care. You, Alex, are one of those rare individuals. Alex struggled to comprehend the enormity of what she was saying. But what can I do? I'm just one person. I'm not a leader or a politician or someone who can influence millions. The Queen's gaze was steady, unyielding. One person can make a difference, Alex. One person can be the spark that guides many. Influence does not always come through titles or power. It comes through understanding, through action, through the willingness to carry a message that others cannot yet see. That is why you were chosen. That is why you are here. Alex felt a mixture of fear and excitement. The responsibility was overwhelming, but the possibility of making a difference filled him with purpose. He realized that he could no longer return to life as it had been. He had seen too much, learned too much, to simply ignore it. The Queen led him further along the glowing platform. They arrived at a vast chamber, its walls shimmering with flowing patterns of light. Within the chamber, Alex saw images not only of Earth but of other civilizations, worlds that had risen and fallen, species that had thrived and species that had vanished. Each image told a story of choices made, mistakes learned, and wisdom gained. These civilizations faced challenges similar to those your species faces now, the Queen explained. Some failed because they ignored knowledge, because they acted without understanding, because they valued power over harmony. Others survived and thrived because they learned from mistakes, because they sought wisdom, because they understood the importance of balance. Your world stands at such a point. The choices of humanity in the coming years will determine which path it follows. Alex watched, mesmerized. The images shifted, showing Earth once more, but now with possible futures. In one, humans worked together, protecting the environment, sharing knowledge, and solving conflicts peacefully. Cities thrived, nature flourished, and the species reached incredible heights of innovation and understanding. In another, greed, ignorance, and conflict escalated, leading to devastation, scarcity, and suffering. He felt a deep sense of urgency. The vision of destruction made his chest tighten, while the vision of harmony filled him with hope. He understood now why the Queen had summoned him, not simply to witness, but to learn, to understand, and to prepare for action. "You have seen the possibilities, Alex," the Queen said gently. "It is not enough to witness, you must internalize these lessons. The knowledge you gain here will guide your actions, your decisions, and your choices, and through you, it may guide others." Alex nodded, though words failed him. He felt a mixture of awe, fear, and responsibility pressing on him like a weight he had never known. Yet beneath it, a spark of determination began to grow. He realized that he could not ignore this calling. He could not turn away from what he had been shown. The Queen's voice softened, carrying warmth and encouragement. "You may feel small, Alex, and the task ahead may seem impossible, but remember, even the smallest spark can light a path through darkness. You have been chosen because you possess the qualities necessary to carry this knowledge. Courage, curiosity, and understanding are more powerful than you realize." Alex's thoughts swirled. He thought of his life back on Earth, the quiet nights spent observing stars, the hours spent studying and learning, the moments of doubt and hope. All of it had led him to this moment, to this purpose. He realized that his ordinary life had prepared him for extraordinary responsibility. "Will I be able to do it?" he asked quietly. "Will I be able to make a difference?" The Queen's eyes glimmered, reflecting the light of the chamber. "You will face challenges, Alex. You will face doubt, fear, and resistance, but you will not face them alone. The knowledge you carry, the wisdom you gain, and the courage you nurture will guide you. Trust in yourself and trust in the path you have been given. You are ready for what lies ahead." Alex felt a sense of resolve growing within him. The Queen had revealed not only the dangers facing humanity, but also the potential for greatness. He understood now that his role was not to act recklessly or alone, but to learn, to prepare, and to carry the message of knowledge and responsibility to those who could understand it. As he stood in the chamber, surrounded by visions of possible futures, Alex realized that his life had changed forever. He was no longer simply an observer of the world. He was a messenger, a witness, and a guide. The path ahead would be difficult, but it was a path he was ready to follow. The Queen's voice echoed once more, gentle but unwavering. "Remember this, Alex. Knowledge is power, but wisdom is guidance. You have seen both the light and the shadow of your world. Carry this understanding with care, with courage, and with hope. Your journey has only begun." Alex nodded, feeling a mixture of awe, determination, and readiness. He had been summoned for a reason, and he would not turn away from it. He was ready to learn, ready to face the challenges ahead, and ready to carry the message of the Queen to his world. Alex had been back on the glowing platform for some time, walking beside the Queen through her extraordinary world. He had seen the beauty of floating cities, glowing gardens, and civilizations that balanced technology with nature. But now the Queen's words weighed heavier on him than ever. The visions of Earth's potential futures haunted his thoughts, and he felt a mixture of awe and fear. He realized that understanding the message was only the first step. The real challenge was knowing what to do with it. "Alex," the Queen said softly, her voice like a melody carried on the wind, "you have seen what your world can become and what it risks becoming. You have witnessed possibilities that most humans cannot even imagine, but understanding is only useful when it is applied. You must consider what you will do with this knowledge." Alex swallowed hard. I don't know. It feels overwhelming. How can one person make a difference when the challenges are so big? There are billions of people on Earth. Some will listen, but many will not. How can I even begin?" The Queen's gaze was steady and calm, but it carried a weight that pressed gently on his conscience. Change begins with understanding. It begins with courage. It begins with small steps. You do not need to carry the burden of the entire world alone, but you must act wisely and with care. Your actions, your words, your example will influence others more than you realize. Alex walked silently for a moment, trying to digest her words. He thought of his friends, his family, and the people in his town. Most of them lived ordinary lives, concerned with ordinary problems. How could he explain what he had seen? How could he convince anyone to understand a message so profound? Yet, deep down, he felt a spark of determination. He could not ignore what he had learned. He could not go back to being the person he was before. You must also understand, Alex, the Queen continued, that the path ahead will not be easy. Knowledge often comes with resistance. People fear what they do not understand. They reject what challenges their beliefs. You will face doubt, even ridicule. But if your heart is steadfast, if your purpose is clear, you will find those who are ready to listen. Alex nodded slowly. He had always faced small challenges in life, failed experiments, misunderstandings with friends, moments of self-doubt, but nothing like this. This was bigger than anything he had imagined. Yet, he could not shake the feeling that he had been prepared for this moment, even if he had not realized it until now. They walked further into the alien world, and Alex began to notice subtle signs of the Queen's teaching. The beings around them moved in harmony, yet each had a unique role. The plants, animals, and structures were all interconnected, forming a delicate balance that sustained life. The Queen paused beside a glowing pool of liquid light, its surface reflecting shifting patterns of energy. "Do you see this, Alex?" she asked. "Everything in this world has purpose and connection. Nothing exists in isolation. Every action has consequences, whether immediate or far-reaching. This is the principle you must carry with you when you return to your world. Humanity's choices are interconnected. Every decision, every invention, every conflict, these ripple through time and space." Alex gazed into the pool, mesmerized by the shifting light. He thought of Earth, the cities, the forests, the oceans, and the people, and realized the truth in the Queen's words. Humans often acted as if their choices had no consequences. They fought, polluted, and wasted resources without seeing the ripple effects. And yet, if even one person acted with understanding, the impact could be enormous. "But what if they refuse to listen?" Alex asked quietly. "What if people reject what I have to say? What if it doesn't make a difference?" The Queen's gaze softened. "Resistance is natural, fear of change is natural, but even one person who listens, who understands, can become the spark that ignites change. It is not your task to convince everyone at once. Your task is to act with wisdom, to plant seeds of understanding, and to lead by example. Over time, the message will spread." Alex felt a flicker of hope. He imagined small acts that could make a difference, teaching others, sharing knowledge, protecting the environment, encouraging cooperation and kindness. It seemed almost impossible at first, but the Queen's words gave him clarity. Change was possible, even if it began with small steps. They moved on, and the Queen led him to a high balcony overlooking a valley of glowing gardens. Streams of liquid light flowed through the landscape, nourishing the plants and creatures that thrived within. The balance was perfect, yet it was clear that it required constant care. "This is a living example, Alex," the Queen said. "A world guided by understanding, but even here mistakes occur. Even here lessons must be learned. The difference is that mistakes are seen, understood, and corrected. That is the principle you must carry back with you. Knowledge without action is incomplete, and action without understanding is dangerous." Alex watched the flowing light, feeling a mixture of awe and responsibility. He realized that his role was not only to share knowledge, but to act with care, to think before he acted, and to understand the consequences of every choice he made. The burden was heavy, but it was also a gift, a chance to make a real difference. "Alex," the Queen said, her voice calm yet firm, "you may face doubt, confusion, and fear. You may question yourself and your abilities, but remember this: courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is acting despite fear, guided by understanding and purpose. That is what you must carry with you." Alex nodded. He felt the truth in her words. He had always admired courage in others, yet he had never realized that it was not about being fearless, but about acting with purpose. The weight of responsibility pressed on him, but it was accompanied by a sense of determination he had never known before. As they continued through the alien world, the Queen spoke of the importance of hope. "Hope is not a passive feeling, Alex. Hope is an action. It is the belief that change is possible and the willingness to act to make it real. Even in the face of resistance, even when the path seems impossible, hope guides those who choose to carry it." Alex thought of Earth, of the challenges facing his species, the environmental crises, the conflicts, the divisions among people. He realized that hope alone was not enough. It needed to be combined with understanding, wisdom, and action. He felt a spark within him, a growing sense that he could be part of that change, that he could make a difference, however small it might seem at first. The queen led him to a quiet garden where glowing flowers swayed gently in a soft breeze. The air was filled with the hum of energy, and the garden seemed alive with consciousness. "This is a place of reflection, Alex," the queen said. "Here you can consider the choices you will make, the actions you will take, and the path you will follow. Every decision matters. Every thought ripples outward. Take a moment to understand the responsibility you carry." Alex walked slowly among the flowers, feeling the hum of life around him. He thought of the lives he could touch, the people he could inspire, the small actions that might grow into something greater. The weight of responsibility pressed on him, but it was accompanied by a growing sense of purpose. He realized that he could not ignore what he had learned, and that even small steps could have a profound impact. "Alex," the queen said, her voice gentle, "you will return to your world soon. You will face challenges, skepticism, and doubt. But remember this, the knowledge you carry is powerful, and the courage you nurture is even more so. Act wisely, act with understanding, and act with hope. Your world needs you to be a guide, not a follower." Alex took a deep breath, feeling the truth of her words. He knew that the journey ahead would not be easy. He would face obstacles, people who did not understand, and situations that tested his resolve. But he also knew that he could not turn away from the path he had been given. The queen had shown him the possibilities, and now it was his responsibility to carry that knowledge forward. As the alien world shimmered around him, Alex felt a deep sense of clarity. The beauty he had seen, the lessons he had learned, and the responsibility he now carried all came together into a single understanding. His life had changed forever. He was no longer just an observer. He was a messenger, a guide, and a force for understanding. The queen placed a hand gently on his shoulder, her presence radiating reassurance and strength. "You are ready, Alex, ready to face the challenges ahead, ready to carry knowledge and hope to your world, ready to act with courage and understanding. Remember, even the smallest step toward change can create ripples that grow far beyond what you imagine." Alex nodded, feeling a mixture of awe, determination, and hope. He had been given a gift, a responsibility, and a mission. He did not yet know how he would accomplish it, but he knew that he could not ignore the path that had been laid before him. The queen had shown him the possibilities, both for his world and for himself, and now it was up to him to act. As they walked back toward the glowing platform that had brought him here, Alex felt the weight of responsibility settle comfortably on his shoulders. He understood that the journey ahead would be challenging, that he would face doubt and fear, but he also understood that he was not powerless. Knowledge, understanding, courage, and hope could guide him, and through him, others. He realized that the queen had not simply summoned him to witness her world. She had summoned him to see his own potential, to recognize the power of understanding and action, and to carry that knowledge into a world that desperately needed it. The future was uncertain, but for the first time, Alex felt ready to face it. Alex felt the glow of the alien world fade as the queen's hand slowly withdrew. The platform that had carried him through the stars shimmered for a moment, and then, with a gentle pulse, he found himself back in the clearing near his home. The familiar trees and night sky stretched above him, unchanged, calm, as though no extraordinary event had just occurred. Yet everything inside him had changed. He took a deep breath, feeling the cool night air fill his lungs. The hum of energy was gone, replaced by the soft sounds of crickets and rustling leaves. He looked around, half expecting the queen to appear again, but the clearing was empty. For a moment he felt alone, but it was not loneliness. Rather, it was the weight of responsibility settling upon him. He had been given knowledge and guidance unlike anything a human had ever known, and it was now his task to carry it forward. Alex walked slowly back to his house, each step heavy with thought. He realized that the world he had left behind, his town, his friends, his family, remained unchanged, unaware of the extraordinary events that had just occurred. Yet he could not return to his ordinary life. The knowledge he carried, the visions he had witnessed, and the lessons the queen had imparted were too important to ignore. As he entered his bedroom, Alex sat at his desk and opened his notebook. For hours he wrote, sketching the patterns of the alien world, the glowing gardens, the floating cities, and the visions of Earth's possible futures. Words poured from him, each one carrying the weight of understanding and the hope of change. He realized that recording his experience was the first step in carrying the message forward. If he could not share it with the world immediately, he could preserve it, study it, and plan his actions carefully. The next morning, Alex felt a mix of anticipation and fear. He went about his daily life, yet everything felt different. The sights, the sounds, the people he encountered, all seemed more vivid, more significant. He noticed small details he had once ignored. The way sunlight reflected on leaves, the rhythm of life in the town, the kindness and struggles of people around him. Everything felt connected, as if the threads the Queen had shown him in her world stretched into his own. But with clarity came doubt. How could he share his experience without being dismissed as imagining things? How could he convince anyone of the urgency of the message without overwhelming them with fear? He thought of the Queen's words, small steps, courage, understanding, and hope. He knew that he could not rush. Change required patience, strategy, and the willingness to act wisely. Alex decided to begin quietly. He spoke to his closest friends about the importance of observation, of caring for the environment, and of thinking carefully about decisions that affected others. At first, they were skeptical, laughing, or shrugging off his words, but Alex did not falter. He shared his ideas gently, leading by example. He organized small community projects, cleaning local parks, planting trees, and educating others about the importance of sustainable living. Each small action felt like a ripple in a vast ocean, subtle but real. At night, Alex often gazed at the stars, remembering the alien world, the floating cities, and the Queen's gaze that had seemed to see everything within him. Sometimes he felt a faint glow in the sky or a soft hum in the air, as if the Queen was watching, reminding him of the responsibility he carried. These moments filled him with courage and determination, reinforcing the lessons he had learned. Over time, Alex noticed changes. People began to respond to his quiet efforts. Friends joined him in planting trees, neighbors helped clean the streets, and local students participated in environmental projects. Each small act spread outward, and Alex realized that the Queen had been right. Change could start with one person, one idea, and a single courageous step. But Alex also faced challenges. Not everyone was receptive. Some dismissed him as overly idealistic, while others were resistant to change. He experienced frustration and doubt, moments when he questioned whether his efforts were meaningful. Yet every time he felt discouraged, he remembered the Queen's words. Courage is acting despite fear, hope is an action, and even small steps can create ripples that grow far beyond what one can imagine. As months passed, Alex's work expanded. He began giving talks at local schools, sharing ideas about understanding, responsibility, and the importance of considering the consequences of actions. He emphasized unity, cooperation, and the potential of humanity to create positive change. Slowly, more people began to listen, inspired by his dedication and the clarity of his vision. Alex realized that influence did not always come through authority or power. It came through example, knowledge, and persistence. Sometimes, late at night, Alex would see glimpses of the Queen in his dreams. She would appear, glowing softly, and remind him of the lessons he had learned. The importance of understanding, the power of small actions, and the need to carry hope even when the path seemed impossible. These dreams were comforting, reinforcing his sense of purpose, and reminding him that he was not alone in his mission. One evening, Alex sat by his telescope, looking at the stars that had always fascinated him. He thought of the alien world, of the Queen, and of the visions of Earth's possible futures. He realized that the journey ahead was long, filled with uncertainty and challenges, but also with incredible potential. He understood now that his role was not to solve all the world's problems at once, but to guide, to inspire, and to act with understanding and courage. Alex's life had transformed completely. The ordinary young scientist who had once spent quiet nights observing the stars was now a messenger, a guide, and a source of hope. He carried knowledge that few humans had ever known, and with it, a responsibility to act wisely and patiently. He understood that the true measure of change was not immediate results, but the ripple effects of consistent, thoughtful actions over time. As weeks turned into months, Alex noticed that his efforts were beginning to influence others in ways he had not anticipated. Local leaders began supporting environmental initiatives. Schools incorporated lessons about responsibility and sustainability into their programs, and communities worked together to solve problems that had once seemed insurmountable. The ripple of his actions grew larger, just as the Queen had said it would. Yet, Alex knew the journey was far from over. The challenges facing humanity were immense, and there would always be resistance, setbacks, and moments of doubt. But he also knew that he had been chosen for a reason, and that the lessons he had learned in the alien world would guide him through the difficulties ahead. He understood that knowledge was powerful, but applied knowledge, combined with courage, understanding, and hope, could truly shape the future. One night, as Alex walked through a quiet park filled with trees he had helped plant, he felt a soft glow in the sky. It was faint, almost imperceptible, but it carried a sense of recognition, of encouragement. He knew it was the Queen, watching from afar, reminding him that his efforts mattered and that the mission he carried was important. A sense of peace settled over him, mixed with renewed determination. Alex realized that the story of his life had changed forever. He had been summoned, shown the possibilities and consequences of humanity, and entrusted with a message that could guide the world. The journey ahead was challenging, but he felt ready. He understood that even ordinary people could make extraordinary differences when guided by knowledge, courage, and hope. As he stood beneath the stars, looking out over the town that had once seemed small and ordinary, Alex felt a deep sense of purpose. The world was filled with potential, and he had the opportunity to help shape it for the better. He knew that he would face challenges, doubt, and resistance, but he also knew that he could make a difference, step by step, action by action, ripple by ripple. The night was calm, the stars shining brightly, and Alex felt the quiet reassurance of the Queen's presence, even if she was far away. He knew that humanity's future depended on choices yet to be made, and that he had a role to play in guiding those choices. With hope in his heart and determination in his mind, Alex turned toward his home, ready to continue his mission, ready to face the challenges of his world, and ready to carry the lessons of the alien Queen into every action he would take. The ordinary life he had once known was gone, replaced by a journey filled with purpose, understanding, and responsibility. And though the path ahead was uncertain, Alex felt a quiet confidence. He had been chosen, he had been guided, and he would act. For the first time, he truly understood what it meant to carry hope, knowledge, and courage into the world, and to believe that even one person could make a difference.